Greetings, viewers. This is King Echu from Southern Cameroon, Ambazonia. This is a Pan African platform, which means that we discuss issues concerning global African people. And there is a particularly heated discussion, a particular issue that is happening in Africa, precisely Senegal, which has to do with the protests. And what made this protest to begin in the first place? What triggered this protest was the arrest of an opposition leader named Osman Sonko. Osman Sonko is a politician in his 40s, and the president of Senegal, who is called Macky Sall, who has been in presidency for 9 years. And according to laws in Senegal, you can rule for 5 years and have another 5 more years. After that, you don't have to be a president. You don't you don't have to be a president after that because your terms are over. But it seems like this president is trying to find a way to extend his 10 years because he has 1 more year to go, and after that, he shouldn't be contesting for presidency anymore. But as you know, in French African nations, like in Chad, where the president did some nonsense just to stay in power by threatening his opposition leaders so that and his opposition leader was afraid and he's not going to contest for any political position against the president. So the president now is going to be in power in Chad, just like in Mali. As a matter of fact, in Mali, what happened is there was a coup, which is also a French African country. There was a coup, and the coup was successful because they took power, and they have a new president. But I'm quite sure in the next 10 years, that president who has taken will probably want to stay more because this is French Africa. If you look at Cameroon, President Paul Biya has been there for 38 years, and when he sees his opposition leaders, he finds a way to deal with it to make sure that he be in power. This is a common phenomenon in French African nations, not just French African nations, but we're talking particularly about French African nations. But this is a common phenomenon in Africa where leaders want to stay in power past their due time, and they will do whatever they have to stay in power. So this president in Senegal is using the same trick, just like in Ivory Coast, where the president has done more than 10 years already, or at least he's done 10 years, which means he's not supposed to run for presidency. But he changed the constitution and made himself, to stay in power continuously. French Africa. Why is this all happening in French Africa? In many French, although there are some English African countries that it's happened, like Uganda, but still, in French African nations, you have this commonality, and it has to do with the fact that France backs up the leadership of French Africa because France benefit from all the resources French Africa has. And if I go back to this discussion about Senegal and the protest has to do, it was triggered by the arrest of the opposition leader. And this, as a matter of fact, two other leaders went through the same process, being accused in Senegal, being accused, and so that when they're accused of rape, they can easily kick them out from the political positions. There will be no challenge. So this is the third person that the president of Senegal is doing the same thing. It's a natural phenomenon. The president of Senegal is trying to find a way, an avenue to kick out his opponent so that, well, he wouldn't have any challenge comes 2024. But before it even comes 2024, the president of Senegal has only one more year to go because he's been president for 9 years. One more year will be 10 years, and he's not supposed to be in power according to the constitution. But Africa doesn't respect the constitution because African leaders do not respect the people. They don't. They change the constitution at will to suit them. To suit them, they change the constitution. It's been done in Cameroon. They have changed the constitution so many times. It's been done in many African countries, French African countries, so that the president stay more in power. But this is wrong. This is wrong, and this needs to stop. But it will not stop so long as France backs up the leaders who have changed the constitution to stay in power, because France is benefiting from those leaders. So this is something that French African nation, something that African nations have to face. They say all African nations have, their independent, um, they have gained their independence, they are free, but in actuality, they're not free. And the so-called president and the elites in French African nations and in African nations in general do shady things to stay in power so that it benefits them. Meanwhile, majority of the people suffer because when France is taking up to 500 billion US dollars in French African nations, that means that many African youths would not have jobs because though French African leaders are greedy, but France is even more greedy or even more greedier than the French African leaders. It's because of their greed for the resources of Africa. The people of Africa suffer. So this President Macky Sall, is trying to move potential opponents ahead of 2024. Two other opposition leaders were excluded from 2019 election after being convicted on charges. So he's using a tactic to destroy his enemies. In Cameroon, President Paul Biya will arrest some of his enemies and put them in bars. There are so many of them in jail. There's so many in prison that he put in jail. Chad, the president, used different tactics to frighten the other opposition, and the opposition leader backed off because he didn't want to get killed. So, but I'm trying to say this is a common phenomenon. It's a common phenomenon in French Africa, and French African citizens must see this because the more they use this trickery and intimidation, you know, to frighten the protesters, to frighten the citizens. Many citizens are dying because of the leadership, because of the elites who are greedy. But the people who are more greedier is France, which means that French Africa must become even more bolder if French African citizens want to survive. More bolder. What is the government of Senegal doing to the people? Only sending intimidation and threats. And in the process, the security forces in Senegal are killing citizens. Now, if you look at the amount of people died because of bad leadership in French Africa, it outweighs the wars that are even fought in certain parts of Africa because of bad leadership. Because France has a hand in French Africa, and the leaders are in cahoots with France. So France supports the French African leaders, and the French African leaders do whatever they want to do in French Africa, and the population, the people, majority of people suffer with bad leadership. In other words, what French Africa must do, what Senegal must do, what Chad must do, what Ivory Coast, what Togo, the list goes on. What must happen is that we must go against the elites. And with this protest, it's just this is a protest, but we need to change that protest into a war against the elites. In other words, one citizen is being killed in this protest. The death of the elites in Senegal or any French African country that faces such issues have to pay it back with the elites. You see, it has become a common phenomenon for the African leaders or for the French African leaders to kill their citizens because their citizens are expressing themselves against an institution that is harsh on them. And their own brothers who are in military go around killing Senegalese who are protesting because they have guns. So, in other words, Senegal citizens need guns to fight against the military and fight against the elite who think they can only threaten and intimidate the citizens because they have the power. Now, this is all about power because the resources in Senegal belongs to all Senegalese. The resources in French African nations belongs to all French African nations. The resources in Cameroon belongs to all Cameroonians. But it's only a few that benefit from the resources and the rest suffer. So if we, the French African nations, being Cameroon, attached with English Cameroon, being Ivory Coast, Mali, Senegal, you name it. So long as there's an issue going on in any country in French Africa or in Africa, the citizens have the right to arm themselves and fight against the institution. Because if we don't, they will continue to do what they're doing because nobody is stopping them. They think it is their right to kill the citizens in Senegal because they have the power. So this is all about power. The citizens in Senegal don't have the power. So the government with the military can kill the citizens. So they say two wrongs don't make a right, doesn't make a right. But sometimes an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth. So long as the government of Senegal thinks that they can just kill the people and intimidate the people, then the people of Senegal need to arm themselves and fight against the elites of Senegal so that when they are also being gunned down like this, the military is gunning down the people in Senegal, and they're also running helter skelter because the people are now having a revolution against the institution of Africa. Because that's exactly what is needed in many countries in Africa and in many states in Africa. The people need a radical revolution because the people's humanity are not respected. The institution, the government can do whatever they want to do to stay as long as they want to in power. Will change the constitution just to stay in power and live in wealth, while the population suffer while they send down their military to come and gun down unarmed citizens of Senegal, of Cameroon, of any French African nation or Africa in general. If the people are not tired of what the government is doing to them, then they could allow the government to keep killing them in the name of staying in power. But if the people are sick and tired, like in Senegal, people in Senegal can pick up arms and fight the military and fight the elite, so that the elite could understand that killing a human being, sending military to kill unarmed citizens just because you have the power is wrong. And because nobody can stop the government of Senegal or Cameroon or any French African country or Africa in general, they think they can do that and go scot-free. This is the time for the people to realize that they must have the power against the institution, against the government that does whatever they want to. Look, the citizens in Senegal don't have jobs. But who are the one building roads in Senegal? Chinese. So they take Chinese to come and build roads in Senegal. Meanwhile, the citizens in Senegal don't have jobs. But Senegal is rich in resources. But the managers, those who are managing the resources, are greedy, are selfish, are glutton for power and blood of the people because they have the power. If Senegal want to make a complete change, radical change in Africa, so that the leadership of Africa will understand that they have to fear the power of the people and not be so disrespectful to the people, then the people, like in Senegal, needs to change these protests to a completely radical revolutionary war against the elites. That way, when a new institution is created in Senegal, the Senegalese government will respect the humanity of people. What happens in Africa daily, where people are being slaughtered by the government that is supposed to be protecting the people, is because the government does not respect the humanity of the people. The government of Senegal does not respect the humanity of Senegalese people. The government of Cameroon doesn't respect the humanity of Cameroonians. The government of Chad does not respect the people of Chad, which is why they do whatever they see fit. Their institution is to rule the people. But that doesn't mean that they have the right to just kill people willy-nilly because they have the power. Now, it's time for African people to stand against institutions, to stand against government, and to make them understand that they're not gods, that they can take life whenever they want to. And if they think they can take life of the people, then maybe the people in Senegal, the people in French Africa, the people in Africa will have to stand against the government, and so that the government will not be able to do business as usual in Senegal or in Africa. This is King Eju. This is a radical revolution. Please like, share. Till next time.